We are back on Johnny's NFL football picks of the week for this week, week 2 in the NFL. Well, welcome in, everybody. We got the NFL to do here first off. Actually, I should probably introduce the show as Johnny Torch Live number 16. And what are we on? Torch's News Roundup number 58. Not going to be a very long show today, so let's get right to it. All right, first off, let's see. We've got the Thursday night game, which is the Texans at the Bengals. I am going to go with the Bengals on this one. Then we have the Browns at the Ravens on Sunday. The Ravens, of course, are the former Browns. Going to go with the Ravens there. Let's see, the Bills at the Panthers. Going with the Panthers on that one. The Cardinals at the Colts. Going to go with the Cardinals, I think. The Colts, I don't know, they took that trouncing from the Rams last week. It doesn't seem, does it, for Indianapolis this year? All right, then we have the Jaguars and the Titans. I got to go with the Jags on that one. Although you never really know what Titan team is going to show up usually. But I'm still going to go with the Jags. Then we have the Eagles at the Chiefs. Now, of course, the Chiefs beat up on my Patriots last week. Patriots didn't look so hot during the second half of that game. I am going to go with the Eagles, though, on that one because, not for a matter of revenge, but I thought the Eagles looked pretty good against the Redskins and Carson Wentz. I think he's going to be a pretty good player. Patriots at the Saints. Oh, I pity the Saints. I don't want to be the team that plays the Patriots after they lose a game, so Patriots there. Vikings and Steelers. This is a tough one, kind of a toss-up. I was kind of impressed with the Vikings this week, so I am going to go with the Vikings on this one. The Vikings technically did play this week on Monday night. I'm going with the Buccaneers over the Bears. This is another interesting matchup because the Buccaneers haven't played yet this season. They had their game rescheduled Sunday because of Irma, and they did not play the Dolphins. Speaking of the Dolphins will take on the Chargers. I'm going with the Dolphins, too, on this one. Chargers had their spirit broke Monday with that game when the Broncos won. Raiders will take on the Jets. I'll take the Raiders, of course, naturally. Cowboys at Broncos. This is a tough one, but because they're playing in Denver, I'm going to go with Denver on this one. Redskins at Rams. I don't know really if the Rams are the real deal yet. That could have been an aberration, but I'm going to go with the Rams at home. The 49ers at the Seahawks. Seahawks, of course. Packers at the Falcons. Of course. And the Lions at the Giants on Monday night. I am going Lions. Not too impressed by the Giants on Sunday night. Last week, let's see, I did 12-3. Pretty good. 12 wins and 3 losses. So we're going to keep stats updated here on Johnny's NFL football picks of the week. All right, with that out of the way, I want to thank everybody for putting up with that if you're not into the NFL. Wanted to start the show with that because, you know, maybe you can just skip ahead if you are not interested in the NFL. If you are interested in the NFL, let me know what you think. Like I said, I'm not a big X's and O's guy, but it's going to be in the Super Bowl this year. We haven't really talked about that. But for Torch News Roundup number 58, let's see what we have on tap here. First off, of course, we want to pay our condolences to another comic legend, unfortunately, that left us recently. Mr. Len Wein. I never really knew how to pronounce it. It was Len Wein or Len Wein because I've heard it pronounced both ways, but I believe it's Len Wein. So he passed on this past week of an undisclosed illness. Nobody seems to want to say what it is, but I think it was an illness that he'd been battling for many years. Of course, he co-created, you have to say co-created nowadays, he co-created a lot of legendary characters, especially from the X-Men, that he co-created with Dave Cockrum, such as Storm, Nightcrawler, and Colossus. Of course, his greatest claim to fame would be co-creating Wolverine, Incredible Hulk, before migrating Logan over to the X-Men. He also created Swamp Thing, co-created him. Lucius Fox in the Batman comics, yes, he created him too. Created Human Target, which is one of my personal favorites, along with Carmine Infantino. Yeah, just a lot of great characters created by Len, and he had a prolific career as a writer, writing stories for many characters, including the Incredible Hulk, one of my all-time favorites, one of my all-time favorite characters. He had a great run on that. He had a great run on uh, was it Batman? Yeah, I think that was probably his second greatest run was on Batman in the I think it was the early '80s. But yeah, I had a lot of great comics back in the day when he was still writing them. Of course, he was also editor in chief of Marvel for quite a number of years. So, you know, it's a great loss. He was also apparently a really nice guy. I mean, I've known him only in interviews where he seemed very, cordial. You know, as opposed to what we have nowadays in comics. The writers of comics seem to think that they're doing everybody a favor, but in the case of Len, he seemed like an approachable guy, very nice and down to earth. Was immortalized in Days of Future Past, having a cameo with other legendary X-Men writer Chris Claremont. So very sad at his passing. Sad to see him leave at such a young age, at the age of 69. You know, relatively young, all things considered. Rest in peace, Mr. Len Wein. All right, let's go on now to, and I suppose I should be admitting up front that I'm a little under the weather today. So if this broadcast seems any more scattershot than usual, then you know that's to blame. I don't have a cold, but for all intents and purposes, I feel like I have one because I have this terrible attack of allergy. And just stepping outside this door, and I'll be sneezing constantly. I had to pretty much insulate myself from the air outside. It's this very muggy New England air that we have today, at least, that just sent me off into a sneezing spell that is quite unbearable. So, so if you notice any difference in my voice, or if perhaps we're getting off the usual standard operating procedure, maybe that has something to do with it. Next, we have some interesting information here that came out regarding Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Hunter is returning to the show. Now, it might not be in a ongoing capacity. I don't know. From the information I've gathered, he's only going to be in an episode or two. No info yet if Bobby Morse is returning, but Palaki is on the Orville. Is that what it's called, that show? I seen the commercial. I don't know. It's like a Star Trek parody. Uh, Chances are she isn't going to be on the season, although I doubt that show's going to go very far. It looks like it's got a pretty heavy budget for something that's probably not all that amusing. Seth MacFarlane is in charge. That pretty much tells you. But we'll see. Nick Blood, of course, who plays Lance Hunter, leaked this in his, I guess, Twitter account. So it's a welcome addition for me. I thought they should never let them leave the show, but the intention, of course, was to split them off into their own show, Marvel's Most Wanted, I think it was going to be called, a spin-off. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest idea because I don't think they could really hold their own show. They seem better to me as co-stars. Of course, you have to remember they had an on-again, off-again relationship, him and Bobby in the show, so the fact that she doesn't show up doesn't really, spoil any of the storylines. We'll just have to see how it goes from here. Okay, next up, we'll get into some movie news. First up, we have some information about the Tom Hardy Venom movie. Tom Hardy's Venom apparently getting pushed back, delayed. It was supposed to start shooting by the end of the month, I believe. It's delayed until October 23rd. Supposedly, there is a shortage of quote unquote manpower to get the movie off the ground, whatever that means. The release date for Venom is October 5th, 2018, which is basically a year away, and especially a film with a character like Venom, you'd expect a lot of CGI and effects shots. Is this going to ruin their planned schedule? As far as now, they haven't said they're changing the release date, so it is going to still come out in about a year. Will this film actually ever really be released, though? Is this going to be another one that's just going to be headed for the ash can of stalled and delayed spin-offs for Spider-Man that are never really meant to be? We'll see. We'll soon see, I suppose, because if it doesn't start shooting come next month, I have a feeling it's not going to be made at all. All right, so let's check out. This is more rumor, but we got a little bit of solid news on the Shazam movie. Of course, the rumor going around is John Cena of WWE fame is being looked at for Shazam, the character. Uh, I don't know. There's nothing really to back this up. I don't know how true that is. This would be amusing, especially if The Rock were still going to play Black Adam. Of course, he might still play Black Adam in a prequel or spin-off or whatever they're trying to do with the Black Adam character. Uh, I don't think he's going to get the role. Like I said, this is still in the realm of rumor at this point. But we do have some information here from director David F. Sandberg, who confirmed that he will in fact cast two actors for the roles of Billy Batson and Shazam. Of course, there has been speculation that perhaps he'll just cast one actor, a mature actor who would play both Billy Batson and Shazam. Are they going to go with the child Billy Batson, the way he is in the comics, or are they going to go the route of the 70s TV show where he was a teenager and perhaps two characters could play the role? But according to the director, nope, they're going to cast two different actors in the roles of Billy Batson and Shazam. Okay, let's see. Going back here, let's get on to the big news. This is what I'm sure you're all interested in hearing. Last week, we talked about Colin Trevorrow stepping down from directorial duties, or perhaps he was fired, depending on what side of the fence you want to come down on. But he has been replaced, and reportedly, he is being replaced with J.J. Abrams. No! Okay, J.J. Abrams, of course, directed The Force Awakens, and rather than get too deep again into another Force Awakens critique, obviously, a lot of people, myself included, feel like The Force Awakens was a lot of a rehash of A New Hope, wasn't very creative, wasn't very original. So taking the franchise back and putting it into the hands of J.J. Abrams is not very comforting. Uh, I wasn't really too thrilled with, not too, I didn't dislike it, but I wasn't too thrilled with the first Star Trek movie. I'm one of the few people that kind of liked the Star Trek Into Darkness better than Star Trek '09 or whatever it's referred to by the mass. But because I felt in Star Trek Into Darkness, the characters sort of acted more like their original counterparts. I mean, you had, some, conflict between Kirk and Spock, but nothing that was dialed up to the nth degree as it was in the first film, where they didn't really even seem to act like the original characters. And that was by design, of course, so that's why I don't really dislike that film, or cause, it doesn't cause me to dislike that series, but because he was trying to, sort of grow them into that roles of Kirk and Spock. But I don't really feel like J.J. Abrams is the guy to go to for something truly creative when you're doing an established series. I don't think he's going to bring anything to the table that we don't already have, and he's just going to continue to ape off of the other films. Like, he didn't even know where he was going to take Luke Skywalker in The Force Awakens. He purposely held him off, and they didn't do anything with him. Now he's going to be forced to hire Star Wars saga, let alone this trilogy. It doesn't seem to be the safest hands to put the Star Wars trilogy in, the Star Wars franchise in. Not that like I said before, not that I think Ryan Johnson would be much better. We don't really know how The Last Jedi is going to turn out, so I really don't want to. I really don't want to speculate, but judging from the trailers and stuff we know about The Last Jedi, I don't really think I'm going to like what Ryan Johnson had to bring to the table either. So where would they go? Who should they have gone to? Who knows? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not really a movie guy. I couldn't, handpick directors that are perfect for this project, but I just don't see how J.J. Abrams is going to elevate his game enough to really do a spectacular send off to this saga. Of course, we also have news that Chris, let's see, what was his name again? Let's see. Chris Terrio is going to be co-writing the film with J.J. Abrams. Again, Chris Terrio is best known for writing Batman v Superman with some others. I don't remember, but so that's not exactly the most competent hands to put franchise in. We got the guy that created Batman v Superman along with the guy that directed The Force Awakens. Not exactly you know, a confidence booster going into the final film in this legendary franchise. I don't know if Mark Hamill will have a part in Episode 9. We don't know if he gets killed off, Luke Skywalker. So we don't really know what route the film is going to take. Rumors have had it, of course, that Princess Leia was meant to have a bigger part in this film, which, if that was true, it kind of leads me to believe that Luke might have uh, been killed in the Last Jedi. Although I don't know if those plans were altered. I suppose not, because they're saying they haven't changed the ending of the film or anything since her death. But let me think. Let me know what you think. Is this a good idea, J.J. Abrams coming back for Episode 9? Eh, I'm not sure. I personally think if he just if he just plays it safe, which is probably what he'll do, maybe maybe he's the guy to go to that you want to like end the saga on a safe note. I don't know. I don't know. But let me know in the comments below what you think about J.J. Abrams helming the yet untitled Episode 9. All right, so like I said, it's only a brief show today. There didn't know if I was going to do a show at all, but I said, I got nothing else to do. Let me give it a shot. I had some really nice things planned for the second half of the show, but of course, since I'm under the weather, I'm going to hold off on those to the next broadcast. So this is more of a traditional Torch News Roundup where we only had, about 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe of show. I really miss not playing the opening and the ending, the in the Hall of the Mountain King, which is the Torch News Roundup theme song. But maybe someday we'll go back to that format. It's just much easier for me nowadays to just turn on the camera and just talk about the news and say what I think about it. Hopefully, someday we'll be able to get the best of both worlds, and I'll be able to do that and maybe frame it with the opening and closing credits. I haven't been able to do that, though. I don't know how. All right, so thank you once again for joining me for Torch News Roundup number 58. Be sure to leave your comments in the comments below, and make sure that you check out my poll in the Twitter page. You can check out the Twitter link in the description below. This Twitter poll is still up. It will still be up to the weekend, so continue to vote on it. It's the one from this past weekend that you still have time to vote on that one until the end of the week. because usually if I don't, usually if I don't, whatever votes I get for the first 3 days is what determines the poll. I don't get any more votes after the first 3 days, so you still have time to really affect the poll if you want to vote now. All right, thank you for joining me. This is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.